everyone. Welcome to the Human Biography Podcast. On today's episode, I have Sachin Latti. Sach, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, man.
I heard your story a few months ago, and it was during a time that a friend of mine that we were talking about also was into running. And what I really wanted to know was, first of all, as a person that is out there putting himself to the test, your body to the test, where did that come from? Tell me a bit about your story, and I want to hear, because it doesn't. I want to actually explain to people what I'm talking about. I don't want to just give it away and talk about what you're working on, what you've done. But there's something that goes in someone's brain and someone's mind to be able to say, I'm going to do something that is outside of my comfort zone. Right. So tell me a bit about yourself, and we'll start off there. Yeah.
Okay, so to answer your question, there's probably different points of my life.
Absolutely. Let's get into it.
So I guess starting from the beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up in an immigrant family, right?
Yeah.
And my parents are Punjabi, and my dad left India when he was 19. And he left India, went to go to England.
Yeah.
So first, right? So in the 60s.
Yeah.
And my mom, she left India when she was about 11 with her family.
Wow.
So she went to England.
Okay.
So, as you grow up in an immigrant household, you hear stories of struggle, story of resilience.
Yes.
Story of overcoming challenges.
That's right.
In various different ways, right? So I guess I've always heard these types of things. My dad didn't speak a lick of English when he got to England.
Yeah.
Worked he made a commitment to himself and to his family to get an education.
Yeah.
So he ended up going to university during the day.
Yeah.
Working in a factory at night.
Yeah.
And, 5 years of kind of consistent effort.
Wow.
Got a master's degree.
Wow.
And just did the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
So hearing these stories probably is the beginning of me wanting to do better for myself.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Motivated.
Yeah. It just didn't have the tools, I think, earlier in life to really execute against those things.
Now, like the accomplishments that I'm hearing about are very physical in your life. Now, were you always an athlete?
Always wanted to be.
Oh, yeah. Okay. That's aspiration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, look, so I got to be honest in an objective way.
Yeah.
I think people would observe me as an athletic person most of my life, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Maybe I didn't feel that way personally.
Yeah.
But in high school, I wrestled in high school.
Yeah.
There was a period of a number of years where I stopped physical activity and was doing things I probably shouldn't have been doing.
Sure.
Partying, drinking, this, that.
Yeah.
Then I kind of got back into fitness when I was about 26, 27.
Yeah.
And then kind of stuck with bodybuilding style. Lifting and that kind of stuff. And
did it come easy to you? Or was it always work?
Always work, man.
Yeah.
Everything's I've always had to work at everything that I do.
Which is good.
Yeah.
Gives you something to aspire to.
100%, man.
Yeah.
And some not only aspire, but I think to learn.
Yeah.
Learn, because people see physical things, or maybe they might see me do a physical thing, and they think it's only physical.
Yeah.
But the reality is it's 100% mental.
Yes.
And so for me, it's more of like a mental endeavor in trying to figure out what I'm capable of mentally and physically.
Beautiful. When did you know that you could start running? Because there's something about physical, because there's some people that can lift weights.
Yeah.
And there's some people that can run. There's some people that skip. When did you, that endurance thing, tell me about that. When was the first time you sort of looked at yourself as a runner, or even possible?
I don't even know if I do now.
Wow.
To be honest, man.
And I cannot wait till you hear what he's up to. Okay, so wow, that's really interesting.
I started running 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Right.
And what was just for fitness?
No, I was going through a lot of issues, man. So I was going through a divorce.
Yes.
And then I was dealing with work issues, working in law enforcement for 18 years. So I was dealing with some stuff there. And then the pandemic, everything was kind of happening all at the same time. So it was a perfect storm for me to really struggle with my mental health.
Sure.
Right.
Wow.
So, certain things were happening. I was living in the basement suite of the house I had bought we bought together with my ex-wife. So, it was an unpleasant environment.
Absolutely.
Not only for me, but obviously for her, right?
Absolutely.
So there were a lot of challenges there. Had a young daughter. So for me, I was feeling terrible.
Wow.
I was feeling like, I was the squeaky wheel in the marriage, right? So I wasn't the greatest husband, and I was presented with really the person who I was at that time rather than who I thought I was.
Wow.
So there was a major shift in my mental health.
Yeah.
And the realization that, oh, I'm not as good as I thought I was. And so that kind of left me with like a lot of angst, a lot of depression.
Sure.
I ended up having a major depressive episode.
Yeah.
Saw a doctor, psychologist, medication, the whole 9 yards. And I just started thinking, man, I just want to do life better, man.
Yeah.
How do I do that?
Wow.
And that's what's precipitated a lot of the things that I'm doing now.
Wow. Let's talk about mental health. You know, it's become a better conversation for us in 2024, 2025, like where we are today, especially for men to have that conversation, vulnerability, even myself, being able to express myself. You know, I'm an emotional creative, and it's funny because people are like, oh, I really like understand what you do now. Because I was expressing myself through my work, and which was very emotional, and then having conversations with other men wasn't always very emotional. But I think it's time that we have those conversations. So, what did you find helped you through that time? Yeah,
A lot of things.
yeah,
So I can't illustrate enough how dark it was for me.
Oh wow,
Like
sorry.
it was really, really a challenging experience. Extremely isolated, alone.
Yeah.
I felt like garbage.
Yeah.
Didn't feel like a good person. Like all these negative sort of emotions,
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely.
And I was trying to find ways to stay positive. So I mean, I still drink not regularly, but like once in a while.
Sure.
But you know, maybe a few years ago, I was more of a regular drinker.
Sure, yeah.
And at this specific time, I made a commitment to myself. Okay, I'm not going to drink right now.
Yeah, sure.
Because I could see what could potentially happen
Absolutely.
if I started drinking.
Didn't help.
Right. And so I started reading. And I wasn't a huge reader before.
Yeah.
Right. I started reading. Started listening to podcasts a
Yeah.
lot more. Like
Yeah.
really started diving deep because
Great.
I was alone and I didn't really have much to do because we were locked down. So I just dove deep in like
Wow.
a lot of different sort of psychological kind of podcasts,
Sure.
health podcasts, fitness podcasts, just all of them. And then I thought, you know what, man? I picked up David Goggins' book,
Yeah.
Can't Hurt Me.
Wow.
I read the first 2 chapters and, you know, pretty much that I didn't finish it until about 2 or 3 years later because I just read the first 2 chapters.
Sure.
I was like, okay, cool, man. Maybe I'll start running. 'Cause, so what I got out of the book was like, or at least the first 2 chapters was like, do hard things,
Yeah.
chase adversity.
Yes.
But I interpreted it as physical hard things, not just broadly challenge yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I was like, okay, what's hard for me? Well, I hadn't ran since high school.
Wow.
I hate running, and I was the worst runner on my wrestling team.
Sure.
To start running.
Wow.
And so I started running, short distances, nothing crazy. I look fit now, but I was way more jacked at that time.
Oh, really? Yeah, okay.
I was probably sitting around 200 pounds.
Wow.
8, 9, 10% body fat.
Wow.
So I was fairly large. I'm not a tall guy.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So, you know, but I started running. It was super hard.
Yeah.
Super challenging.
Yeah.
But I noticed it was keeping me busy, occupied,
Yeah.
keeping me focused on one thing that was kind of positive
Sure. Of course it is.
out
yeah.
of all the negatives that were
And it was a
happening.
challenge you were overcoming.
Or learning about or trying to figure it out. Like I wasn't overcoming it. I was just, how do I get through it?
Wow.
And so yeah, I started running. And fortunately for me, I can dive deep into things once I start enjoying it.
Yeah.
And so I just went all in, man.
Wow.
I did like 3 5Ks a week kind of thing.
Wow.
And then from there, I progressed to within 2 or 3 months. I was like, okay, let me see if I can run 21 kilometers.
Wow.
And it wasn't like no races or nothing like that.
Just doing it on your own
for
accord.
me,
Yeah,
it was nothing
yeah.
to do with anything.
Yeah.
And you know, it wasn't like I was running fast 21 kilometers, but I did it.
Yeah.
And you know, for me, the day I ran my first 21 kilometers, I finished a 10-hour shift at work.
Yeah.
I came home, it was raining, and I was feeling like crap mentally.
Yes.
I had a bit of a argument with my ex-wife at
Sure.
that time, and I was like, okay, I don't know what to do right now. So I picked up a pair of shoes and I went out for a run.
Wow.
And so I was trying to make a good choice rather than a bad choice.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And then I ran for 3 hours, and you know, wasn't pretty. It was pretty ugly, but I felt afterwards. I felt proud of myself because I did something.
Beautiful.
That
Congratulations. I'm proud of you too.
because I did something that I never thought I could do.
Yeah.
And it did something that no one forced me to do or said I should do. Or
Yeah.
just said, F it, man. I'm
Yeah.
I'm gonna go do. So that kind of started the ball
Yeah.
to where we are today.
Can I tell you what's going through your mind when you are running? Are you listening to something, or what are you playing in your mind? Yeah.
So in that day,
Yeah.
that 21 kilometers
Yeah.
was just keep moving, just keep moving,
Beautiful.
just keep moving. And
Yeah.
then it got to a point where I was like, it was like maybe 16, 17, 18 kilometers in, and it was like raining out. My feet were not feeling very good. I was feeling like crap. Like
Yeah.
my left leg was mangled. I was wearing, my shoes were 10 years old.
Sure.
So started yelling to myself, just keep moving, just keep moving. Like it was very visceral.
Did you know the route you were taking?
I was just kind of going.
Yeah.
I didn't, man, I hadn't done it before. Right? So I didn't know route or anything. I would just start running and go in this direction, go in that direction. And that was it.
Did you then think this was going to be your thing?
No, man.
No, because you're just like, oh, it's still running.
But okay. And I'm sure we're going to share where we're at today.
Absolutely. We're going there. We're going there.
But
yeah.
like where I was
Yeah.
at that time, I didn't think I'd be where I'm here now.
Yeah.
Like people talking to people on podcasts, being interviewed, like various different things.
Yes.
So it's evolved into, like, I just wanted to stay alive.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what it was at the time.
That's a blessing.
Yeah.
It's a blessing.
Absolutely.
And I'm glad that you're here.
Me
and
too.
I'm proud of you.
Thanks,
and
man.
and I want to fast forward and talk about the build up to distance. I want to talk about mental distance, going the distance, and then doing it selflessly for others. Talk about that.
Yeah, man. I mean, it really started, this whole effort that I'm in now.
Yeah.
Started December of 2021.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So November of 2021,
Yeah.
I ran from Chilliwack to the Vancouver airport, approximately 100 kilometers.
Wow.
And
What was it? Now tell me, was that hard?
yeah, man.
Yeah.
It was freaking hard.
Good. Like, when you meet somebody, and they're like, oh, yeah, this guy runs 100 kilometers every day or every week or whatever it is. And they're like, oh, this guy probably is Superman.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll dispel all the myths.
Tell me.
For every single ultra marathoner or anybody who does any endeavor like this at all,
Yeah.
it's fucking hard.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I just have
You're
to.
good, you're good.
I wanted
Yeah.
to illustrate it by saying that word
Yeah.
because it's always hard, man.
Yeah.
It's never easy. Wow. Never easy. That's why we do it.
Yes.
Because then we start developing parts of our brain that haven't been developed before. Because you're
Beautiful.
voluntarily doing something that you don't want to do.
Yeah. Do hard things.
Right?
Yeah.
So, man, yeah, it was hard, man. It was freaking hard. It was us. It took me just under 15 hours, and we raised $21,000 for the BC Yukon Legion, which supports veterans and first responders.
Were you
with
the only
PTSD.
one running?
I had people. I had people come support me.
Yeah.
But it was me.
It's your run.
Yeah.
How did you know that you were going to be that person to do that? Like, it's one person to be, I'm going to do the marathon this week. I'll go watch the ultra marathoner. Like, did you even know what an ultra marathon was?
Yeah.
Like,
So I've learned about it a few years
Yeah,
ago.
yeah.
I didn't really know what they were.
Sure.
I had never run a marathon before, a 10K before, or any races. So for me, it's not about races, man. I don't really care.
Yeah.
I don't care about medals. I don't care about
Yes,
trophies. I don't care about any of that. I mean, and mind you, I have those things.
Sure.
But
Accolades.
I never do them for those.
Yes, I get it.
Right? So like for the run, did I know I was gonna do it? I didn't know what I didn't know, so I thought I was gonna do it.
Sure. Sure.
I had no experience. I had no understanding of how to fuel myself.
Wow.
That was done on pure will.
Wow.
Like honestly,
Because people like train for months, if not a year out. I'm going to do the ultra marathon this year. Rest. You have other things going on. You got a job. You got life. You got pressure. You got mental stress. And how did you prepare for this, or did you prepare for this?
I did, man. I kind of I did a few big training runs.
Sure.
And this was all on my own. I didn't really.
And were the train like So did you get advice from anybody?
Not
No.
really.
Oh, you
I was just
did it.
going on the internet, reading things,
Sure.
this, that, and the other, and then testing it out on myself. And I had a few training runs, like 21K, 35K, and then a 40-something K, and then I would run little bits here and there. No, what I know now versus what I knew then, I'd be like, oh man, are you sure you're gonna be able to do this? Yeah. Because
Is there a time when you're running that you're like, I don't know if I'm going to finish?
no.
Okay. Wow.
No, because I mean,
Beautiful.
I think I started framing things very differently, right? Like,
Yeah.
look, I can walk for 10 days.
Wow.
Like I would work on a shift. I used to be a canine handler.
Yeah.
And, I'd be on my feet 10 hours.
Wow.
So if I can be on my feet for 10 hours, I can walk 10 hours.
Wow.
And then if I can walk 10 hours, I could probably run for 5,
Wow.
4,
Wow.
or 3.
Wow.
So just breaking it down in ways that are manageable for me to understand that I can do the thing. So it wasn't ever, I'm not going to be able to make it. If I have to crawl, I'm crawling.
Yeah, yeah. You've got the will.
Yeah. So the purpose is so defined. So I think this is an important piece.
Yeah. Yeah.
The purpose is so well defined that if it was just about me, I wouldn't. But if it's about others
Yes.
and trying to raise funds, then,
Yes.
well, you know what? I could probably
A greater purpose.
then I can manage the discomfort along the way.
I think in life, when we see greater purpose in ourselves, we keep moving forward towards that purpose. Like I've said this to people. People ask me when I interview somebody, I sometimes do interview people who are at the end of their life or like close to, and they're like, what keeps them going? What keeps these amazing entrepreneurs keep going is they have purpose. They want to keep doing more. They don't talk about retirement. They don't talk about other stuff. They talk about what is the next thing that I'm about to do.
Yeah.
And so I guess one step at a time. I can't remember exactly when I heard this, but I felt like I heard that you were doing this repetitively day after day. Mm-hmm. And I don't understand how you could do that and your body's getting rest. Or can you tell me what was going on? How many days in a row? What was the distance that you were doing?
So I'll just kind of really highlight
please.
couple of things that I've done.
Yes, please.
So they've all been progressive
Sure.
sort of increases, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
So in 2021, I ran 100K. November 7th, 2021, raised $21,000 for
Amazing.
charity.
Yeah.
And then after that, I kind of kept trying to learn. And then the following year, actually that December, I registered for the following year for 9 ultra marathons.
9.
Yeah, I didn't know what that was. I was like,
So that would be 900 over 100K.
Yeah. So an ultra marathon is at least 50K or more.
Okay, great.
So, but
Easy stuff.
no, but man, I didn't know what I didn't know, right?
Yeah.
So like I said, okay, I ran 100. How hard could it be to do 9?
Yeah.
So I mean, my ego. So here's the thing that I've recognized too is like I got a significant ego.
Yes, sure.
Yeah. Now it's more integrated. I can understand how to use it as a tool
sure.
or a scalpel.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. So I can manage
It's a confidence.
it better. Yeah. So I registered for these 9 ultras and having zero idea and concept on how to do them.
Wow.
And so each one of them I epically failed at every single one of them. But each one of them I improved on them.
Wow.
Right. So I learned from each one of them.
Absolutely.
And to top it off, we raised $16,000 for the Honor House Society that year.
Beautiful.
It supports veterans and first responders. So I was like, okay, cool, man. I did this. I never thought I could do that. What else can I do?
Yeah.
So then, came up with an idea to run across the province in 2023.
Yeah.
And I ran from Revelstoke to Victoria.
I remember hearing
and,
that.
and I ran 22 marathons in 22 consecutive days. So 42K each day for 22 days.
Okay. Let's go. Let's slow that down right there.
Yeah.
Any pain?
Yeah. I had plantar fasciitis that whole year before I even started in my right foot. So yeah, I mean, yeah.
Were you seeing specialist doctors to make sure that hey, listen, am I going to break down during these consecutive days?
Yeah. So like, let's say for example, you go to a doctor.
Yes.
The GP is going to give you the general sort of thing.
Sure.
When I see a GP, it doesn't apply to me.
Yeah, because you've heightened your
and that's how I kind of think because I keep pushing things. I keep trying to push my envelope mentally. So, if something's for the general public, I don't think of myself as the general public anymore. I might be a little bit of a, maybe a bit more extreme in certain
outlier
areas.
of it. Yeah.
And so maybe I have to amend things certain ways.
Wow.
Now, so having said that, if let's say for example, you train your body for 3 years.
Absolutely.
Then it can handle more things.
Sure.
Now, if I was going to get up and say I'm going to run 22 marathons in a row tomorrow and I hadn't ran at all, okay, that's a problem.
Yes.
Right? So it's all relative. And that was at the stage where I needed to be. It wasn't easy, but I had to stretch my skill sets a bit.
Wow.
So I was stretching. And then after the 22 days, then my body and everything can come to that stretch point.
Can you tell me how long did it take you to do each day, or was it different every day?
No, oh yeah, some days were longer. Like
Average
6 to 7 hours.
6 to 7 hours a day. And like, do you run during the day? Is it evenings? What were you doing?
No, I was trying to do it during the day. No, this was in August 5th to the 27th.
Were you working still?
No, so I've been out of work I've been kind of off for sick leave, mental health related stuff. So
Sure.
It's been over a year and a half.
Okay, blessings. Good for you for doing that.
Yeah.
Some people might just sit back and maybe just rest, but you're just moving forward physically,
Yeah, let me
mentally helping people.
Sure, I want to give a little bit of insight into, because I think I'm getting to a point where maybe I can share a little bit more about
Please
the
do.
work-related stuff.
Yeah.
Look, I experienced some experiences that were unpleasant, but they weren't also like unwarranted.
Yeah,
Right?
sure.
So, I was dealing with significant mental health issues that didn't allow me to continue working in that environment.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
so I had to kind of take a leave of absence from work, not get paid.
Yeah,
Okay, so
that's tough.
So the reason why I'm saying this is because I want to illustrate what's possible
Yeah,
for
beautiful.
an individual, right?
Thank you.
So for me, I was a guy who grew up with, a Punjabi style household, and you go do this, go do that, get a government job, you're set, all these things, right?
Yeah.
And to walk away from that, knowing that if I stayed in that environment, I'd become sick.
Wow.
So I wanted
Good
to,
for you for taking that precedence.
I appreciate it, man, because I think it wasn't the counsel I was getting from people.
You got to live for yourself after a certain time as well. I think that what happens is we are put on all sorts of family pressures, expectations. Then comes on, running a household, being a father, being a husband, being a community leader, going to work, becoming a leader there, whatever that is, there's pressure. And sometimes as a man, we feel like, we can't let this fall. We're juggling a lot of different things.
Yeah, agreed, man. There came a point where I had to make some choices, right?
Sure.
And I wasn't doing well.
Yeah, okay.
So I was like, why would I go back into an environment and become sick again?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I was like, okay, that's just not an option. Now what do I do? Okay, well, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So I put myself into service of others, seva, whatever you want to call it.
Yes.
To help myself, but then
That's also who you are.
Yeah, I think so, man.
Yeah, it's who you are. I can feel it.
Yeah.
I can feel it.
So I just wanted to do something for myself, and through that, I started seeing how it was helping me.
Absolutely.
And then I thought, okay, maybe we can scale this for others.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what it really came down to. And those 22 days of running across the province really solidified that purpose for me.
Wow.
Because I was engaging with people across the province.
Yes.
Other veterans, other first responders,
Yeah.
people in general struggling with their mental health, having conversations as I'm, getting from place to place.
Yeah.
We, raised about $17,000 in those 22 days.
Wow.
And, every time I've done something that epic or big or challenging,
Sure.
I've just leveled up 5 times mentally.
Yeah.
Because it's just such a all-encompassing thing.
And how are you doing today?
Today I'm good, man. Look, I mean, what I've learned about myself is that I can take on almost any challenge.
Beautiful. I agree. It sounds like it.
So,
yeah.
from a financial perspective, I'm still, not great, but you know what, man, I'm cool with it now.
Yeah.
I'm just doing my thing, and I think it also helps that some of the awareness and things that I'm doing are starting to kind of get some momentum.
Yeah.
So that gives me excitement.
Does it also then put your brain in a different frame? I'm an entrepreneur, right?
Yeah.
So I always think, does this put your mind to think, there's other things I can go
So,
do?
bro, I'm already thinking past the run across Canada right
Beautiful.
now. I've already thought about
Beautiful.
many things. I think honestly, I kind of got an entrepreneurial mindset.
Absolutely.
I just didn't realize it because I worked for the government for 18 years.
Well, and everything has a condition, everything has a place. But when you challenge yourself to go outside the comfort zone, and then you're consistently outside of that comfort zone, you're creating. You're creating something in your brain, and you're creating outcomes. And it's something that you would never even dreamed of. Something that actually the average person will never do what you're doing, or will be able to do what you're doing. So then your brain's like, what more can I do, right? It's exciting.
Honestly,
very
man,
exciting.
I'm super excited.
I'm excited for you.
I'm super excited just by thinking about like, I'll share a couple of things
Please
that have just
do.
kind of come to my plate.
Let's manifest them together right
So
now.
like,
Yeah.
okay, so just after the 22 marathons, I did that.
Yeah.
And then this past year in 2024,
Yeah.
I ran 60K a day for 60 days. Wow. And in 2025, we raised about $25,000
Yes.
for the charity. And then obviously this year I'll be running across Canada,
Yes.
attempting to run 100K a day for 75 days. Wow. Now, having said that, that's the goal. But now we're working with multiple charities.
Sure.
We're trying to raise $1 million so we can give
Yes.
a portion of the amount to each of those charities. I'm looking at maybe about 20% sort of kind of cut to all of them.
Sure.
So now this scales things in a different way.
Absolutely.
In a way that now the charities are supporting me in a way that I can offload sort of work.
This is the optimal runner's business that you can actually help others while you're helping yourself.
It makes it's a no-brainer, to be honest.
Yes.
So like as I'm incorporating some of these charities and then also committing to raise funds by running,
Sure.
they're now helping me with some of the workload.
Yeah.
So I don't have to do
administration. I hate admin. I hate it.
admin, some PR stuff, like all these
Sure.
different types of things, which is, man, like I can do a lot of things, but I also have to focus on being able to train and recover and heal. So it's
Beautiful.
trying to find that balance.
What help do you need? That's what I want to ask you.
What do I need?
Yeah, what do you need?
Personally? Or for
Everything. Let's talk personally and also professionally, because this is what the Human Biography podcast, we talk about personal and professional.
Yeah.
We're humans, right?
I think from a professional perspective, look, I think as this is unfolding, I think it'll get more and more traction.
Great.
And as people see it on whichever platform they see it on,
Yes.
If you like it. And if you think it's something meaningful and impactful, share it.
Yeah.
And if you're able to donate.
Yeah.
If you're a company or an organization that wants to attach themselves to a meaningful cause that will be historic, feel free to connect to sponsor.
Yeah.
Right. So these are all things that we can do, and I've kind of created enough to be able to pitch these types of people.
Great. Yeah, and listen, I think the thing is that you're inspiring people.
You know what? That's tripping me out. I ain't gonna lie, man.
Listen, and you know what? I respect that, because that's a humble nature of a human.
Yeah.
It's not to be like, yeah, of course they are. No,
Yeah.
And I think that's what I gravitated towards you. And when I met you, I was like, I wanna meet you one day.
I
And
appreciate
then
that.
I wanted to sit here with you and have a conversation, and have dialogue with you, because we did breath work together a few days ago.
It was good, man.
And I'm learning about men's work, having conversation with other men about emotional things, what we're going through. And I want everyone to know out there that, what you went through, what I've gone through, what people are going through, you need someone to talk to. You might not be able to go for a run, but maybe there is an outlet for you. Maybe it's paint a picture. Maybe it's record a song. Maybe it's just, walking through the forest and just hearing your voice. But there's an outlet for everybody. And so I want to express this to you. I want to thank you for doing what you're doing. But I also want you to know that you should thank yourself, because you did this for yourself as well.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. And it is important. And I think to your point, what I want to also address is that
please.
you're mentioning an outlet or,
Yeah.
some sort of outlet. For me, it wasn't the running.
Yeah, sure.
And it was part of it.
Yeah.
But fundamentally, it was human connection.
Wow.
I get emotional thinking about it, so
Yeah.
I'll try to.
No, you're fine. We're here to share emotion.
So I met somebody
Yeah.
that essentially turned into becoming a mentor at the time that I kind of required some assistance.
Yeah.
And I think, meeting a few different people and the caliber of who they were,
Yeah.
and then having honest conversations,
Yeah.
two-way conversations.
Yes.
Man, it changed my life.
Yeah.
Right?
Beautiful.
Like it helped me realize
Beautiful.
what's really important. And then it helped me realize what I wanted to do. And having an understanding, because I felt very different than everyone around me.
Sure.
and I didn't know if I was weird or what, like all these different things people feel when they're.
Welcome to my world.
But you know what I mean? You feel very different, right?
Absolutely.
And there was this dissonance that I had most of my life.
Yeah.
And then I started meeting, so I met this friend of mine, the guy who turned out to be a mentor of mine.
Yeah.
His name's Sean Taylor.
Yeah.
And you should actually have him on your podcast.
I would love to.
And
What's Sean?
Yeah. Because he does his own podcast now. He's been doing it for a couple of years.
Yeah.
But he's so a bit. When people throw around the word legend a lot, right? I don't like to do that.
Yeah.
Because legends are certain types of people.
Absolutely.
Have done certain amount of thing over a period of time.
Absolutely.
And he might get upset me saying this. He probably would. But I would argue that Sean Taylor's a Canadian legend.
Wow. Beautiful.
In all the aspects you might consider what a legend is.
Wow.
So he's a retired veteran. He's a veteran.
Yeah.
He served in the Canadian Armed Forces. He was on all the specialized units that are available in Canada.
Sure.
To Commando, Pathfinders. And then there's a unit called JTF2.
Yeah.
And JTF2 is Canada's special operations team, and it's counterterrorism, small teams.
Wow.
So it's the equivalent to Delta Force.
Wow.
Or, Delta Force or SEAL Team 6.
I didn't even know that was real. I just saw it in movies, and I'm like, okay, so it's real. Okay, cool.
Yeah, Delta Force, and then SEAL Team 6 is the unit that got rid of Osama bin Laden.
Sure.
Canada has a similar unit.
Okay.
And it's called JTF2.
Yeah.
So JTF2 was created in 1993.
Wow.
And he was one of the first people selected to be on that team.
Hardcore.
So now he was on this team. He, all kinds of things. Really, I don't know because he can't talk about them. But having said that, he did that for a number of years. But then after he left the military, he ended up teaching use of force at a police college, and then from there he didn't have any real world skills, quote unquote. So he ended up going to learning computer science.
Yes.
Ended up getting a degree in that.
Yeah.
And then started teaching it.
Yes.
Then wrote a textbook on it.
Wow.
And then after he did that,
literally textbook.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. And then after he did that, he ended up working in international private security, so traveling the world doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then got married, had a couple kids, and thought, okay, maybe I need to tone it down,
Sure.
a little bit more safety.
Sure. Yeah.
So he ended up buying a coffee shop in Calgary.
Wow.
A Second Cup coffee shop. And after about a year, it was the #1 Second Cup coffee shop franchise in North America.
Interesting.
Out of 200 franchises. And then after he did that, he said, okay, maybe I'm going to stay at home. We got 2 boys. The wife's an amazing engineer. She can work. I'll stay at home.
Take care
of the boys. So then he started riding mountain bikes.
Yeah.
And he started engaging in a sport called 24-hour solo mountain bike racing. When you're in the mountains.
It's pretty explanatory.
Yeah. So basically, they're like you're in the trails in the mountains.
24 hours.
And you're ripping for 24 hours. And he eventually became a world champion at that. Wow. And then he became such a prominent figure in that space.
Yeah.
Athletes all over the world started hitting him up.
Yeah.
And so he ended up being a coach to hundreds of different athletes.
Wow.
Trained world champions.
Wow.
Had a performance coach company for 15 years.
Yeah.
Sold that company. Oh, actually, no. He gave it to one of his athletes.
Wow.
He just gave it to him.
Yeah.
And then, so he, being a veteran, and very intelligent person, very well read.
Yeah.
He had friends around him saying, "Hey, man, you really got to do something about this mental health crisis with veterans and first responders."
Absolutely.
Because there is a massive suicide rate within this space.
Sure.
And so he started looking into it, and then I met him.
Yes.
And then, so I was kind of the first person that met him on his journey of understanding this space. And so he and I worked together.
Wow.
So I was kind of his case study to see.
Wow.
So he and I worked together in the sense of work together, we were just having conversations.
Sure.
So in December, I met with him.
Yeah.
He was coming back from a consulting trip in Haiti.
Yeah.
And his flight was canceled. He lives in Rosslyn, BC. It's a small mountain town.
Sure.
So his flight back to Castlegar was canceled.
Yeah.
And I just so happened to be at the airport at work that day.
Wow.
And so he ended up, posting in his Instagram saying, "Hey, my flight's canceled. I want to go for coffee." So I was like, "Cool, I hit him up."
Wow.
Met him. We sat down for 30 minutes, turned into about a 3-hour conversation.
Yeah.
We met at Aberdeen Mall.
Yeah.
From there, after about 30 minutes, he's like, "Okay, let's go back to the hotel." Got a conference room. We just sat in there for about 3 hours.
Wow.
And essentially, he kind of helped me at a really pivotal moment. For
Beautiful.
me. And after the conversation, I was like, you feel a connection.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah.
And after the conversation, I was like, hey, man, can we keep doing these?
Yes.
And he's like, cool. So he's like, if you think it'll help you, yeah. So we pretty much did a Zoom call almost every single day for about 2.5 months.
Wow.
No time limit, just
Yeah,
chatting, getting to talk, know each other, understand what we like, what we don't, whatever, all these different types of conversations. And then one day he's just like, hey, man, what's your purpose? What's your why?
Wow.
Why do you do anything that you're going to do? And because I was talking about running across Canada at that time. And he's like, well, why?
Yeah.
And I was like,
it's a big question.
I was like, I don't know. And then he's like, well, maybe grab a paper and pen and don't get up from the table until you figure that out.
Wow.
So I was like, okay.
What did you write?
So I spent a few weeks trying to figure that out. And I came up with a mission statement for myself.
What is it?
It's I want to maximize my skill sets for everyone around me and affect permanent positive change.
Wow.
So that's kind of what I've been doing for the last 2.5 years.
I think you're in the mastery lane of that.
So,
wow.
So what I wanted to mention is you were talking about outlets. Well, for me, that was a very helpful sort of relationship. And all the relationships since, I've been kind of trying to meet people like this.
We're building a relationship.
Right?
We did, how we met.
But I think that's what it is, man. What I'm starting to recognize is that like-minded people kind of find each other.
Absolutely.
And, look, we don't have to be exactly the same, which we don't want to be.
No.
But if we have a righteous sort of perspective and want to move in the correct direction, then, man, that's the type of people I want to talk to, hang out with. And
I bet you people after watching this will want to talk to you as well. How do people get in touch with you?
Right now, everything's on Instagram right now.
Right. What's your Instagram handle?
It's at such.in.motion.
And we'll share that with everybody.
Yeah. And then in the coming weeks, I'm working with the Canadian Men's Health Foundation. They're going to be creating a landing page on their website.
Beautiful.
For all the run-related stuff, all the donations, all that kind of stuff.
What is coming up for you? What is it that we can share?
So June 16th, I'm going to be kicking off from Victoria, running across the country, 100 kilometers a day for 75 days. We're going to be raising funds for 4 different charities. One is going to be the Honor House Society, which supports veterans and first responders with mental health related issues. Another one is the Canadian Men's Health Foundation, which services men in all capacities, all sort of mental health, physical health, all those things.
Amazing.
It's a national charity as well. Kids Play Foundation, which supports kids.
Cal?
Cal.
I love Cal. Yeah. His birthday today.
I know, eh?
It's Cal's birthday today and Oprah's birthday today.
Yeah,
2 people I admire.
That's amazing.
Absolutely.
And Kids Play, they're doing great work for kids, giving them mentorship programs and athletic programs to keep them away from drugs and violence.
That's right.
And then Together We Can, a charity that supports men with addiction. Yeah. So these are the 4 charities I'm raising money for. The goal is to raise $1 million.
Wow.
What I'm doing now is basically building the team around it.
Yeah.
Anybody out there who's a videographer wants to donate some time, wants to be part of
I know somebody.
Wants to be part of this journey.
Sure.
Got a team of about 2 or 3, but we'll need more people.
Absolutely.
As we're traveling across the country.
Absolutely.
And doing all the things, man. But that's kind of, been on this journey for 4 years, and by the time I'm done, it'll be a 5-year committed effort to be able to execute against this goal.
Wow.
And the start line starts the end of September of what really I'm going to start doing.
Wow. And I'm excited for you. I think you've built the right plan for yourself. The universe has provided, but you physically have provided as well. I want to express that, when you put a challenge in front of yourself that you never thought of, you never expected, and you work towards that challenge and you want to conquer it and master it and go to the next level, that it's not just an inside job. You need people to help you. You need people who have voices. You have people who have resources, and you have people that just need to cheer you on. And I tell you, I cheer you on. I support you as a brother, as a friend. And it's remarkable what you're doing. And there's something so extraordinary about that. And I think you've just landed on that beauty in your life. And I just can't wait to see it all unfold.
Amen.
I want to thank you for being on today's episode of the Human Biography Podcast. Sachin Latti, superhuman on so many levels, not just a runner.
No.
And I just want everyone to know that you are doing hard things beautifully.
Appreciate it, man. And listen, I just want to thank you for asking me to come and also your friendship and being on this podcast. I think whoever's watching, if you're able to support in whichever capacity that is, It doesn't have to be money, but whatever it is, man, just reach out and let's see if we can make some history.